Welcome guys to our new video. I'm really happy to do a new video with you in my garage. The weather is still rubbish and I want to make a video. If you are interested to buy a HP2, is it a Megamoto, Enduro or Sport, in this video you will see, or I want to explain to you what you need to look at, because most of the people that are writing to me are saying, Christian, you know a HP2 that I could buy, or Christian, can you tell me what should I look at when I will visit a HP2 and what are the problems with it. Of course, there are many forums in the world and you can read a lot and spend a lot of time, but now I want to make you a small compression of my knowledge and what I know to buy a HP2, what I should look at. The first important part is you need to know every HP2 is now really old. Like when I say they are from 2005, the oldest ones, and the youngest ones are, let's say the Sport was 2011, 2012, let's say 2011, 2012. So we are talking about bikes that are now like 18 years old, or bikes that are a little bit younger, but I would say still old, because 12 years is also an older bike. But from the technique, what they have, they are not old. They are really basic bikes. There is not much that can get broken over the time when you ride them, because the durability of these bikes is really good. This is the era where BMW was really looking to make bikes that are really good. Of course, today a BMW bike is still a really good bike. My 1250 GS, I'm really happy with it, but this will be another video. Now we are focusing on HP2s, Enduro, Megamoto and Sport. So let's talk about Enduro and Megamoto. Enduro and Megamoto, these two bikes are basically the same bikes. So this is why I would put them into the same section. A Sport is a little bit a different bike, but the first thing is the age. Age is not helping us during time. And then kilometers driven. A bike that has like 1000 kilometers on the clock and is 18 years old or 15 years old, okay, is still, from the age, an old bike, from the kilometers, a very young bike. But this, that it's from the kilometers young bike, is not really let's buy it because it's a better bike. It's a better bike when you want to buy it and put it into the living room, because it was for sure staying before in the living room, and you put it again into the living room, then is everything fine. And you don't need to look at the bike like, okay, do I need to do this? Do I need to do this? Okay. But if you want to ride the bike, so you're buying a bike to ride it, then it's important to look how the bike was maintained, what was done in the last 5 years with the bike. Because the bikes are, as you know, has an engine, a gearbox, and then the shaft and the final drive. So these are like, let's say, 3 sections, because shaft and final drive, I would say this is like one section. And between the engine and the gearbox you have a clutch, and the clutch is a dry clutch, and around the crankshaft you have seals. You have seals everywhere on the bike, of course, but to exchange a seal that is on the front of the front engine, where the belt is going, this is like a job of like hour or 2 hours if you're not experienced, okay? But to exchange the sealing that is between the engine and the gearbox, this is a part where you need to disassemble the whole back of the bike and then take off the gearbox and do this. And if you do this at the BMW shop or you do it at a other mechanic shop, I can say this is only working time from 800 euros above, but I can say today no one will do it under 1000. Like real mechanic shops. If you have a friend and he says, yeah, I will do this, yeah, of course he will do it maybe for 200 euros, but this is something I can say completely different. I'm talking about real mechanics, or you do it by yourself. The parts to exchange, they are not expensive, like the whole seal set or the sealings. I'm not sure, but maybe they are like 150 euros for the gearbox, for the engine. So not a big deal, and you can do it quite easy. I have done it on 3 or 4 HP2s until now, so I know a little bit about it. And yeah, this is the main thing where you need to know. And even when you have a look on the new bike that you want to buy, like you are there, you are looking at the bike, everything is dry, okay, then the seals are good. No, I can say to you that most of the time it is so that when you start to run the bike, like you will have a ride with the bike and you run like 800 or 1000 kilometers with it, you will see that it will piss out everywhere. Maybe not everywhere, but of most of the parts of the seals. So because the seals are getting old, of course, and seals are not supposed, they need the rotation. A bike that was running like every year, for example, and was like ridden over the 18 years, it was ridden all the time, then I say there is a minimum of risk that the seals will break. But of course, if it has after 20 years still 10,000 kilometers, then it's like it's not looking good. It can be losing some oil or not. So this is something you need to have in your head when you look for HP2s, that it can be that when you buy and the bike was not serviced in the last 5 years or 4 years where the seals were done, then you need to know you need to spend the money then. This is something what most people forget, and this is why I'm really curious about the prices on the market, because the prices are quite high on the market right now for HP2s, and they are, yeah, it's something where I say, okay, you buy a HP2 Enduro for 24,000 euros. It has only 20,000 kilometers, but you need to spend like 2,000 euros only for service when you want to ride it, because nothing before was done. Some people, for example, they buy it and they have luck and they run with it, of course, no problem. But the Enduro is lucky that it has only on the engine the crankshaft seal, but no balancing shaft. So the balancing shaft is missing and there will be no leakage. On the Megamoto you have a balancing shaft, and the balancing shaft is because the balance shaft is so heavy, it will like push down the weight of the balancing shaft and it will like destroy the seal, and when you run it then it's something different. So that's something you need to know, that on the Megamoto it's more supposed that this seal will fail, and if you disassemble the bike until this point and you exchange only the seal for the balancing shaft, then I can say to you it's very stupid, because I'm really recommending, and every mechanic will recommend to you, when you're on that point, then check the clutch, check these other seals, but no matter, exchange them. Because the money that you need to spend, or the time to need to spend to disassemble and assemble the bike, is really consuming. So the money for the seal is nothing compared to that. On the Sport you will have the same issue, and on the Sport maybe more than on the Enduro, than as also on the Megamoto, because the Sport is not running often at the most customers or most owners. There are like yeah, most people bought a Sport and they have it in the living room or in the garage, and they look at it and they are happy with it. They don't need to ride it. So most of them have low mileage and really maintained like from outside, but the seals and everything, this will leak for sure. But yeah, this is something I can say to you just from the beginning, or we have already almost or more than 10 minutes done, but this is something, the main part. Then of course the forks and the rear suspension. If it's an air damping or the Öhlins or anything, normal mechanic or damper, then the damper or the forks, mainly the damper first, will start also to leak because it's old, it's aged, and it needs to maintain. It needs to be maintained, and I also recommend to you, when you buy a bike, adjust it to your preference, to your weight and to your preference. That's very important. Otherwise, you bought a weapon of a bike, but you're not using the performance of that what you can get of it. So that's something, also something really important. Um, about the problems that the HP2s have, um, I would have a look on the swing arm. You maybe can have a look on my rebuild video part 2 of the baboon, where I show the crack on the swing arm on the back. This is something, it will happen on the Megamoto or Enduro, it no matter how it was used. This is what I know is not a usage problem, it's a manufacturer problem. Manufacturer, because they welded the swing arm together, and because there are two forged parts and then they welded together, and the cool down was not slow enough, and then you have some stress in the material, and then after minimum of time it cracks, and then most of the people they ride the HP2 and they don't know that it's cracked. Some other know it from the beginning, and they just ride it like they stole it, and nothing is happening, of course, because it's normally like a 10 millimeters maximum crack, and yeah, it's on, but you can have a look on my part 1 where you see this. Then the rear rack, like the rear tail, the black one, this is also quite often happening that it gets cracked. I have shown this also on other videos, and that's something, yeah, it happens. It's not something where you can say it's because it has weight or something else. It's more, I think, with a friend we have some footage where we put it into the CR machine, where we could see through the material and see how it was built, and I can say BMW has done there some mechanical cost efficiency problems. So they wanted to make it as easy as possible, and they make it not really reliable. So, but this is also not a problem. You can buy a steel subframe, and then it's also okay, and most people are happy. But most of the time, please remember, don't put so much weight on the tail of the bike. It's not built for that. Then the next thing is, have a look on the Enduro if it has the Enduro header, because the Enduro header is a little bit different than some other headers. It has this special color, and yeah, it's an Enduro header, so it's a little bit different. It has the same diameters than a GS, so you can use a GS header, but yeah, if you want to have something limited, please have a look if the bike is original. If not, then that it has the original parts. That's something really important. So don't buy the first HP2 you see, and no matter how and what else, because then you can also put the price a little bit lower and say, hello, it has a HPN tank, yeah, cool, but the original tank needs, for my opinion, needs to be with the bike too, as it's a collectible bike and it needs to have it. Most of the parts are like that. Then, for example, some other special parts that are on the bike, I would also say have a look if it has original wheels sets, not aftermarket wheel sets, because this is also something you will not find original wheel sets quite easy on the market, and they are really expensive nowadays. Like, I have seen already 2,500 euros for a used enduro wheel set, and I can say this is really much. It's like you would buy them new from BMW 10 years ago. Now you can't buy them because only the front is available and the rear is not available since years. So yeah. Then about the frame. The frame is mainly really strong, let's say, but on the front, where the triple clamp sits, just have a look if there are some cracks or anything. It happened to some people that they cracked there, or to some people they don't, and some other people were pushing it really hard with them and they had no issues, and some other were pushing hard and they cracked. So just have a look there if there is a crack or anything else you see on the front part of the frame. And yeah, then the next thing is, if it's possible, put the bike on the maintenance stand and then go to the back of the wheel and spin it by finger and have just a noise, have a look on the noise that is created by the final drive. And if the final drive is loud and or something, then the bearing inside, and I mean the bearing that is sealed and not running in oil, then it needs to be maintained, or just, if I mean maintained, then it needs to be exchanged. This is something over the age, first of all, and the second thing is, if you run in dirt and everything, it gets inside, and yeah, it's something, it's an enduro bike, and the same is on the Megamoto. So yeah, it's not something to worry about, but this is something that you need to have a look at, and this is something you can have a look when you are there. Then of course is the clutch slipping, so go to the 6th gear with low speed, give full throttle and see if it will slip or not. This is something I can say also quite important, because if it slips, it can be that the clutch is run out, so it's, or it is burnt, let's say, or seal is already leaking and it goes under to the clutch, and the clutch is slipping because of the oil. So just that you know, the gearbox is mainly not the problem at these bikes. I never had an issue with the gearbox or anything, so they are quite good and quite happy with them. I wouldn't look, but just have a look first, second, just look for other old gears. The gear indicator, this could be a problem, for example. At some bikes I have seen that if you go to neutral, it will say you are in 4th gear or something. So yeah, this is something I with a friend, he has a HP2 Enduro where this is happening, and we have no clue why is this happening. We just don't know. So I would say I would talk about the sport in another video, and go also to the Megamoto a little bit in another video, because this is already 20 minutes long, and yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this. This was mainly for the Enduro and Megamoto, what I think about them, and what you should look at it. If you have some other impressions or some other points to point out, just put it in the comments. I will have a look at the comments, and maybe I will do a part 2 where I will speak about this, what you would wish to hear about. And yeah, please subscribe, like, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next time.